Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to day 4 of my Holidays in the Garden series. So today my plan was to get my front swoop all cleaned out and get my daffodils planted. We have had the coldest fall. It has been absolutely ridiculous. We are not even at our first frost date, which of course isn't a guaranteed date for your first frost. Our normal first frost date is December 4th, and we've had like 6 or 7 frosts already, and it's still November. So my sweet potato vine in my front swoop is totally suffering. The jazzberry and the snow princess still look really good, but my plan is to take it all out and get those daffodils in. However, before I did that, I wanted to do my November front garden tour just so you all can see what my garden looks like at the end of November. My annuals here in Northern California, Zone 9B, they usually last just about until this time, just about until the end of November, and then they start looking kind of rough and it's time for us to pull them out. So I wanted to get a shot of what everything looked like and show you guys what everything looks like before I really start the cleanup. You can see we've already started a little bit of our Christmas decorations. We are nowhere near done. It was a much bigger project than I had anticipated. Of course, what is new? But they're not done yet. And I think, again, today is a good day for a November front garden tour, just so you guys can see what the garden looks like before all the Christmas stuff. All of the Christmas stuff comes out. I know that there's a lot already, but we don't have all of it up. So let's get going. All right, so starting here at my front annual swoop, I just have to warn you all, my garden is looking rough. It is really, really rough. And you know what? It's all part of the season. It's all part of that time of year. Things are starting to fade, but that is okay. It is no big deal. And I figure I want to show it all in all its glory to you guys, even all the leaves in the street that I have to get around to cleaning up. I do still think it looks fall. It looks really, really beautiful. We normally don't get fall like this in Northern California. Normally it goes straight from summer and then it starts raining and then it goes to winter and then everything kind of just looks bleak and everything like that. So this is the first year I can remember since I've been gardening. This is like an intense fall. It's true fall and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I'm glad I'm going to document it for this garden tour. Let's get started here. So this is my front annual swoop I had this year. It was a mixture of Proven Winners Sweet Caroline Sweet Potato Vine, Super Vista Jazzberry, and Snow Princess Lobularia. And the annuals are performing exactly like I thought they would. I knew the Sweet Potato Vine was going to fade like with the first sign of frost, and it absolutely did. You can see that it is completely nipped by the frost and it's ready to come out. The Super Jazzberry is still going. I probably could leave it in for a while. And the Snow Princess Lobularia, actually what my plan is, if I can do it, if I can get it separated from the other plants, I might just cut it back and I might just leave it in, because my plan is to plant all my daffodil bulbs. I got a whole big blend of daffodils from Color Blends. They're sitting in my garage. I'm really excited to get them in. And then I wanted to plant the Snow Princess Lobularia over it so I can have a big flush of white over the daffodils. And then as the daffodils come up and come through, I can imagine it and think it will be beautiful. So I was hoping to save the Snow Princess Lobularia if I can. I might just accidentally rip them out as I'm ripping everything else out, but I am going to try and save them. You can see right here, this is totally done. But I was really happy with how this went this year. It definitely looked different than I had imagined it. I had imagined the sweet potato vine to just be a little accent, and of course it absolutely took over and it became like a color blocking type of swoop, and that is not what I planned. But it was, it was a happy accident. It turned out really well, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited for next year. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do next year. It's completely different than this, and I'm excited to get going on that. So yeah, so this is going to be the big change. I'm planning to do this later today, so you'll probably see me in the same outfit in that next video. but that's kind of just how it goes. So then coming over here, we still have the Shasta daisies. I have one that was suffering from the heat that we had back in August, and it's still, I think it might still be alive. I think that this is still growing. There's just a couple pieces of the plant that's not doing well. Actually, this looks pretty good as well. These Shasta daisies are so, they're robust. They can handle things, and they kind of look like they don't look good, and then they start growing again when you least expect it. I really love those plants. This is a breath of heaven. Let me put the name on the screen. I always forget. It starts with a C. It's just one of my anchor shrubs. I have another one over there on that side, and I love them. I will keep them. I think that they look really, really good, and they stay this color, the chartreusey green color, all winter. So that's going to be some really good winter interest. Right behind here, I have my Laura pedlum, or my Chinese fringe flower. These guys, I have a couple of these. I have this one, this giant one right here, and then I have another one over here, and these guys come into their own right about this time. They start getting these cute little fuchsia pink flowers that I absolutely love, and it's just such wonderful winter interest. All year they have these kind of reddish dark leaves, it's nice. It kind of breaks up the garden and everything like that, but really I love these plants for the winter interest that they have. This beautiful pop of pink is so appreciated when nothing else is really blooming, and I just absolutely love it. I appreciate it every winter season and early spring. And just behind here is my Oklahoma redbud. You can see it's lost all its leaves for the season, which is totally normal. It's a deciduous tree. I think it's looking really, really good. I'm so bummed because I was hoping to get a picture of it with its very last leaf of the season. Dan Pearson's book, Sanctuary in the City, he has another type of redbud. I can't remember. Forest pansy redbud. That's it. And he has this gorgeous picture in that book of the very last leaf on that tree of the season. And I just thought that was so beautiful. But I, of course, missed it. Honestly, I think it dropped all its leaves overnight one night. But I'm hoping to get that next year, the picture of the last leaf on my redbud tree. I just think that is it's such a romantic thought, the last leaf of the season, and then we're kind of going into hibernation, we're kind of going into sleep, and then it's time for the new year. Right below that, I have my homestead verbena. I planted this not too long ago. I think it's looking really good. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it is taken in. It's got these beautiful purple colors, and they will start blooming pretty early in the spring. These are one of the first to start blooming for me here in Northern California, so I'm really excited about that one. Over here, you can see our Christmas decoration. I can't believe how much these white trees pop. Like, you can see them driving down the street. I think it's really cool. They do have lights on them. I want to get some of those solar uplights. I think I still have some of those in my garage somewhere. So I think that would be so pretty. So this is like a really easy Christmas decoration to take up a lot of space. We got these at Walmart, and they were not expensive at all. So I really like this look. I'm definitely going to repeat this year after year for my holiday decorations. And then I think we should put some ornaments or something on them. I don't know. We have to figure it out. But right below that, I do have some of my purple pansies. They got completely smashed. I don't want to blame anybody, but they're 7 and 9 years old. So we were putting up these trees, and I just kept looking, and as I was editing the footage that I took when we were putting them up, it was like they walked all over these. So that's okay. They should grow. But there's these beautiful purple pansies. I think they're called the blue blotch ones. So they don't look like much now, but as the winter season goes, they will get bigger and bigger and more flowers. And they're another really pretty pop of color in the winter when we just need color. This big shrub right here is actually a salvia leucantha. I get asked about this one a lot. It is just the white version of a salvia leucantha. It's normally, salvia leucantha or Santa Barbara salvia is normally this gorgeous deep purple. But when I was at my local garden center, I found a white one and I just love it. It's so beautiful and it has blooms this time of year and it's so, so gorgeous. So I will be cutting that back eventually. I'll probably leave it up for a little bit longer, but it is looking really pretty. More Super Petunia Vista Jazzberry. This one's kind of done. You can see I've stopped fertilizing, so you can see what happens when you stop fertilizing. The leaves start getting a very, very pale green, almost a yellow, and you barely have any buds left, and that just goes to show that these plants need fertilizer. I probably could have kept fertilizing, and I probably would have gotten blooms for longer, but I'm tired. It just gets to the point that I'm tired, that's all. I have my iceberg rose right here. This one's looking really good. I'm not going to prune this now. I'm going to wait until late winter, actually January is when we prune roses. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to kind of shape up the bush and everything like that. But I think it's doing really well here and I'm happy with it. I do have my Helen von Stein lamb's ear, which during the spring and summer, and honestly, most of the fall, I love this plant. I don't like this plant during the winter. Once it gets too much water, it just gets mushy. It just gets so gross. And, I can cut it back. I can take off all the leaves. That's actually what I did last year. I think I actually took off too many leaves from them last year because I started getting really worried about the frost getting them. So I'll probably leave the leaves on for a little bit longer this year. It's kind of a fine line because slugs and snails and earwigs love hiding in these plants. It's a nice, warm, cushy environment for them. But I also don't want to kill the plant by taking the leaves off too soon. So it's a great summer plant. It's absolutely beautiful. But during the winter, it's not my favorite during the winter. There's just too much moisture for it. So if you live in an area where it rains a lot or it's really moist, this plant probably isn't the best plant for you because I just don't think it looks very good. It looks so much better when it's dry. Okay, and you can see over here, my walkway is covered with leaves from my crepe myrtle tree, and my crepe myrtle tree has not even lost all its leaves yet. So I'm just kind of not in a rush to clean up all these leaves yet because I know more are coming. And I am okay with having a little bit of leaves here. I think it looks really pretty. Again, it looks like fall and I'm appreciating that. I do have my foxglove over here. I left some of them in when I planted these last fall. I had a whole bunch and then I've thinned them out a little bit as time goes on. I do have a whole 72 count flat of seedlings of foxgloves that I will put in. I'm hoping to get that in today because these are biennials. I think that they will bloom again next year, but I think some of them I had in even the year before. And I know I've heard people in my zone say that foxgloves will just bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom. But I do think that that's probably because there's some reseeding going on. And I have so much mulch here that I don't think plants will reseed very well in this area with this much mulch that I do have. I'm also going to bring the foxgloves from over here, and then I'm going to bring them over here into my crepe myrtle garden bed. That's what I had last year. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a showstopper. So I'm planning to plant a whole bunch more of them all around here. I use the Camelot mix. I grow them from seed and I use the Camelot mix. And the reason why is because the Camelot mix blooms first year. Normally when you grow foxgloves from seed, they won't bloom until the second year. But if there's certain mixes and those mixes will bloom the first year. And the Camelot mix has worked really well for me and I really like the colors. Over here, these are calla lilies. These are just the common white calla lilies. I had been planning on moving these. I just can't bring myself to move them. They are obviously so happy in the spot. This was one plant that I found over in my oak tree garden bed when we moved into this house. I divided it and now it's two very thriving, super happy plants. I definitely want to divide it again. I would love to have another one over here and another one over here. I did actually find these plants are hard to find. I don't know why the basic white ones are so hard for me to find, at least in my area. I think that when they come in the garden center, they like sell out immediately because I will ask my garden center and say, oh, do you have any of the white calla lilies? And they'll say, nope, we're all out. Nope, we're all out is the answer that I always get. So I did find some bulbs for the giant ones online, and I bought those bulbs, and I'm going to plant them probably up during the winter. You want to plant them about 3 to 4 months before you want blooms. So I'll probably start thinking about planting them pretty soon here. And if those do well, I'll probably wrap those around the tree, the crepe myrtle tree right here. I have bobo hydrangeas wrapping all around, and they did really, really well this year. They bloomed the tiniest bit. They're babies. They're really, really young, but you can see they've lost all their leaves. You can't even see them now at this point. So they're going to sleep at this point, and I'm excited to see how they do next year. I do have my cyclamen all here. This is where I plant my leftover cyclamen when I have annuals that I plant in my flower boxes and my pots. I always take my cyclamen and I transplant it out to this area here. There's a lot more in this mess here, and they will start blooming as kind of time goes on. But I always like to reuse my cyclamen because they do act as perennials here, and people ask me how I get them to bloom all season long. I just ignore them. I literally just torture them. They have, there's drip tubing that kind of goes around here, but I don't focus on giving them water. I'm not hardcore about giving them water. And that's the thing for cyclamen. They need to dry out. But they're so pretty and I just love them. And I think it'll be so fun that each year I add more and more. I'll show you, I have a bunch of white ones that I got from Costco that I'm going to be putting in my flower box. And so I'm going to be adding white next season for here. And I think it'll be really pretty. Here you can see I left up the Mystic Spires blue salvia. I cut it back everywhere else, and I just happened to leave it up here just because I thought it looked really pretty. You can kind of see as the sun is kind of glowing through there. The leaves look really good. I do like cutting this plant back. In the fall, I usually cut it back to 12 inches, and then in the early spring, you'll start getting some growth in the base of the plant. You can kind of see down there, and then that's when I cut it all the way down to the ground, and then it's all fresh new growth. You don't have to cut it all the way back, right? You can leave it, but I like the fresh foliage and I like the fresh look of the plants. So for me and this plant, I like cutting it back and starting fresh every year. I just want to point out my gorgeous crepe myrtle tree. I have never seen it turn this color ever. It is just so beautiful. The conditions are so right this year. I was looking up what conditions you need for leaves to turn, and you basically need cold nights just above freezing, which is what we've been having, and then bright sunny days, which is absolutely what we've been having. And then that allows the sugars to turn in the leaves, and that's what gives you the color for the leaves. So normally they just turn brown and then they just drop off at this point. But this year they're staying on and they're turning these gorgeous, it's like a coppery yellow color. I don't even think the phone does it justice. My camera does it justice when I'm filming this for you guys, but it's so beautiful and we have been enjoying it so much. And it's just like these crepe myrtle trees, to me, they just keep giving and giving and giving. It has the beautiful bark that kind of peels off. I have a multi-trunk right here that I absolutely love. I love that my kids can kind of climb up in it. And then of course the gorgeous blooms throughout the summer, but then this fall color is I'm just loving it. I just want to say thank you to this tree because I think it's so incredibly beautiful. Okay, and then I think it was earlier this month that I cleaned out this area. I can't remember if it was this month or last month. I always get kind of confused, but I did clean out this whole garden bed. I had a bunch of Dusty Miller right here, and then I had Sparkling Amethyst Superbena, and I decided just to clean it all out and start fresh next season. Superbena does act like a perennial for me. I can keep growing it, and you can see my Superbena white out over there. But this area doesn't get full sun. This area during the summer, it totally gets blocked with sun from the crepe myrtle tree, and it really only gets hot afternoon sun, and that's when I don't park my car here, and I always park my car here. So the poor plants that were here were definitely suffering, and some of them had actually died. So I decided to just rip them out. I don't know what I'm going to plant there next year, but it's kind of fun to see a blank slate, especially with all the leaves all over. It's just kind of fun to imagine what I'm going to plant there next year. And that's kind of the fun thing to do this time of year. This is when it starts getting into planning mode for next season. And I think I love planning my garden just as much as I love being out in my garden and doing things in my garden. Over here, I have this little garden bed that I cleaned out a couple months ago, and I cut these southern sword ferns all the way back to kind of rejuvenate them. I didn't cut them back so I divided them. I had a whole bunch of them right here. I took them all out, and I actually took 2 of the plants and I divided them, and then I planted 3 new plants. I didn't cut them back until I started seeing some new fronds come out, and now they're looking really, really good. So hopefully by next spring, they'll be nice and lush and thick, and I think that it's much better that I cut it back because it was just a little bit too much what I had there before. So this tub right here is actually full of extra compost. I had a bunch of compost delivered from my cut flower garden. I had 2 cubic yards delivered. That was way too much, and I knew it was going to be way too much because I was planning to use it in other parts of my yard. But we had so much that Jason and I ended up putting it in these extra storage container bins that we had in the garage, and I have about 5 of them over on the other side of the house just waiting to be used. This one was so big we actually couldn't pick it up and carry it over to the side of the house, so it's just going to sit there. And my plan is to use this compost later today in my annual border before, to kind of replenish the soil before I plant the daffodils. This whole area, including these plants, this has been weighing on me so much, you guys. I am stressing about this area. So couple of issues that are going on. One, we have been so cold. We have been so cold this season. I am planting cool flowers. This is my cut flower garden, and I'm planting my cut flowers, and I'm doing the cool flower method, which is what I've done the past 2 years. It's worked so well. It's been absolutely perfect. However, you are supposed to get your cool flowers in 5 or 6 weeks before your first frost date. Okay. We have had so many frosts so far. Pretty much every night for the past 2 weeks we've had some type of frost. Usually just light frost. We haven't had any super hard frost, and definitely no freezes. But you're supposed to give the little seedlings time to kind of settle in before you hit them with a frost. So that was kind of the issue. Then I knew I was having some nutrient deficiencies in the soil. I had a bunch of flowers, particularly my sunflowers here last year, and they were just doing so terribly. So my neighbor offered to test my soil for me, and he filmed a video with me talking all about soil health and things to do for the soil. It's such an interesting video, you guys. If you can just watch that, you will learn. I cannot even tell you how much I learned from him. He's an agronomist, which is a soil scientist and a crop management specialist, I think. Anyway, he is just so incredibly knowledgeable. I cannot believe he's my neighbor, and it was so helpful. But that, of course, put me back another 10 days when I was waiting for the soil sample to come. Then I had to come back, the results to come back. Then I had a trip to Chicago that I had to go to for a week. And so this has just gotten pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And now I'm kind of just frozen. I'm not totally sure what to do. So I think I'm just going to plant out my seedlings. I have some of them here. The ones that I think are cold tolerant enough, and then the other ones I have inside, and I'm kind of taking them out and bringing them back in and taking them out and bringing them back in. I feel like plants are fine and they can handle it, and I think that I'm just overcomplicating things for this whole situation. So I think I just have to bite the bullet and come out here and amend the soil with all the nutrients that Daniel, the soil scientist, recommended. But it's just something. It's not going to plant. it's not going how I had planned it. So I'm just getting really nervous about it. So it's just something that I have to tackle. If I have time today, I think I'm just going to go ahead and tackle it and plant out all my seedlings out here. And then if they don't survive because of the frost, then they don't survive because of the frost. It's no big deal. But yeah, so this has been nothing, and it's, you know, it's more analysis paralysis on my part at this point, because I'm a planner and this is not going to plan. All right, so coming back over this way, you can see my star jasmine is, of course, loving its life as usual. This plant does so well for me here. It's just such a happy plant. Same with this one. This is a new one that I planted just the end of summer, I would say. And it's grown from probably about here all the way up to here in just a couple months. So I'm excited about that. Right below this, I have a gold dust plant. I think it's called an akuba. This one is doing fantastic. It's one of those plants that I just kind of threw there and didn't think about, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So I'm happy I have that there. Let's see, my limelight hydrangea, of course, is done. I think I'm going to leave the heads on all winter. I usually cut them back, but I think that they look really pretty, and I think it's because of the winter that we've been having. It's been a really fall that we've been having. It's been a really good fall. So normally the bloom heads, they just turn this like ugly brown color for us. But this year it's been like a golden coppery color. So I'm planning to leave those there. I think it'll look really pretty. You can see I have another one over there as well. Over here, I have my Super Beano whiteout. You can see it's absolutely going crazy. I am thinking about taking this out, you guys. I know, it's so like, what am I doing? But Proven Winners has offered to give me annuals again this year. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what if I could do a different color here? Because Super Beanos are technically annuals for Proven Winners. In most parts of the country, they're treated as annuals. However, here in Zone 9B, they're treated as perennials. So I'm thinking I might change up colors just because they're offering to let me try some of their other plants. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. Again, more of the planning, more of the fun. Right behind here, I have my hardy hibiscus, my summerific hibiscus. You can see it's done. I will probably come in and cut that back probably today or tomorrow. It did beautifully. I love it. I moved this from my backyard to my front yard this season, and I think that this is absolutely the perfect place for it. So I'm definitely going to leave it there. Over here in this area, I planted, I know you guys can't really see it, but I planted all of my sweet peas right here. This is Mrs. R. Bolton sweet peas. And here in Zone 9B, California, you have to plant your sweet peas in the fall. There's just not enough time for them to grow if you plant them in the spring. So PSA to all of you who live in mild climates, plant your sweet peas now. It will give them time to establish and time to grow. And then they'll start blooming before it gets too hot in the spring. You can see I have some dahlias here that are actually growing really well. I didn't pull my dahlias this year. This is where I have all my dahlias. I didn't pull them. I just totally left them in, and I'm gonna leave them in and then just see what happens next year. So yeah, there's like new growth on them, which I think is so funny. Okay, and then moving up to my front porch area, you can see here my fall window box is not looking the best. The mums are done. The asters are done. I'm going to transplant these asters. I'm going to transplant this black olive heuchera as well. And then I think I might just leave this creeping Jenny in because it's doing really well. And creeping Jenny, it will be an evergreen for me. I do have all of these gorgeous white cyclamen. These are the cyclamen I was telling you about. Ignore this plant. That guy fell over. Oh my gosh, this guy fell. Look at this, you guys. What a mess. So I have all these gorgeous cyclamen. I got these at Costco, and these were originally $20 for a 6-pack, which is a really good deal for cyclamen. Usually these are for $5 to $6 for just one of them. So that was a great deal. But then I went back like 2 weeks later and they were on sale $10 for a 6-pack. So that is a fantastic deal. And I think the only reason why they were on sale is because some of the blooms had faded. And it was like, yeah, I'll take them. So I got 2 more. So now I have 5 6-packs of cyclamen. I'm going to put them in here. I'll probably put some down here because I have a couple white cyclamen down here as well. And then I might even put some in my other window box that I have over by my kitchen. Here's a quick look at my mess of a front porch. It's just a mess. So Christmas decorations are coming. You know, I have a whole plan for the front porch, but this is what it looks like right now. Isn't it gorgeous? It's just so beautiful. So then moving over here, I have my Wichita Blue Juniper. It must just be growing right now or something. I am just noticing so much new growth on this plant. Tree, whatever you want to say. I just love this, you guys. I just absolutely love it. So it is a USDA hardiness zone 3 through 7, and I live in zone 9B. And it was kind of like faith in planting when I planted it, because they were selling this at my local garden center, and I just wanted it so bad. And so I planted it anyway, just trying to fit it into my microclimates, right? I put it particularly in this place because this whole area right here blocks it from the hot afternoon sun, and I thought that it would be okay. It's doing fine. It is absolutely thriving. It's so happy, and I thought, haha, I am a wonderful gardener. I can mess with the zones, 2 zones up, right? Well, no. If you guys check out my zone video, I'll link it in the description down below. Here on the West Coast, we also follow sunset zones, and sunset zones are a lot more specific to certain areas of the West Coast, particularly California. This tree, this Wichita Blue Juniper, is hardy sunset zones 1 through 24, and I'm a zone 14. So I'm not special. I'm not doing anything fancy. It's actually totally in my zone. It's just the USDA hardiness zone isn't specific enough to tell me that this plant would work in my yard. And that just kind of shows the downfall of the USDA hardiness zone. It's just not really specific enough. So if you guys are interested in a Wichita Blue Juniper, check out your sunset zone if you live on the West Coast. This is hardy zones 1 through 24, so it's pretty much guaranteed it's going to work for you. And then swinging right behind me, I have my fall trio of planters that's still looking gorgeous, except for the cabbage. It's been eaten alive. That's okay. They did well. Look at my celosia, though. This is atomic fire violet celosia. So beautiful. It's holding its color so gorgeous. But look at the leaf change. Look at the color change on the leaves. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this plant. I think it is so beautiful. And then these mums, this is the Morgana red. It started off as kind of like this deep burgundy red, and now it's fading to like an antique-y red. It's just so beautiful. And these last, oh my goodness, these have lasted for so long, and I've just completely kind of ignored them, but they're such an awesome choice for mums, for garden mums. These are from Proven Winners. They sent them to me, just so you guys know. But these are awesome. I'm definitely going to use those again next year because they've lasted so much longer than any other garden mum that I've ever tried. And usually it's not really worth it to me to plant a garden mum, but these definitely lasted a long time. And then the last thing I want to show you is this gorgeous Snapshot Orange Snapdragon. It is just so beautiful. It's another one of those plants. I don't think it does it justice. I think you have to see it in real life to see how beautiful the colors are. All right, and then moving on this way, you can see this whole gated garden bed is kind of fading as well. My vinca is kind of fading back. I'm not going to pull it. I'm just going to cut it back because I think that it will last through next year, which I'm very excited about because it's an annual, but in our zone, I've heard reports that it lasts as a perennial. So I'm super excited about that. You can see my mess of my Helen von Stein. It's just so sad. This is earwig damage. The earwigs are just loving these guys this year. And I've even put Sluggo. You can put Sluggo around them to help protect against earwigs, but they're just going crazy this year. So I think it's just the temperature that we have. Like, it's been a weird year for us. I'm just not used to this fall type of weather. So I'm just kind of getting used to everything and trying to figure everything out. Look at my Limelight Prime colors. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, and then moving down here. Here is my Plumbago, looking beautiful. I am just so back and forth on this plant. I can't decide if I love it or if I hate it. Gorgeous, gorgeous blue color. It's just so beautiful. The blooms are amazing. However, it is just a thug of a plant, at least in our area. It just takes over. I have a tutor in there, if you guys can't tell. It just totally takes over. So I love this plant. I just don't know if this is the right place for it, and I have to decide if I'm going to leave it or take it out. Again, paralysis by analysis. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Right here, I did plant a whole bunch of alliums, so I'm hoping that those will bloom all together, and then I'll have this whole mess of alliums right here. I think that will be so beautiful, so Dr. Seuss-like. Oh, I didn't even realize, this is the first I've seen it. This is my Sem False Spirea. You can see it lost all its leaves. Yeah, not much winter interest there, but that's okay. But look at my Limelight Hydrangea. Holy moly, look at how gorgeous. Look at how gorgeous. Oh my gosh, look at how gorgeous. It's just so beautiful. And then these are pink damask, why am I blanking? Pink damask Veronica right here. But you guys, look at how beautiful. So this is just a perfect example. If you find a good spot for a plant, it will thrive for you. It will just be so easy and thrive. Oh my gosh, this is a new bloom. Are you kidding? That is amazing. I'm going to have to plant more limelights over here in this cottage garden bed. So yeah, so I have limelights in a bunch of different areas in my yard. Some of them, like the ones over here, I know it gets too much sun because they scorch and they're not happy totally right there, but I'm kind of limping it along because I really want them to go there. Over here, I just kind of threw it in here because I had this one. And obviously, this is like the best place for these Limelight hydrangeas. It's absolutely gorgeous. I have just been enjoying this one so, so much. Moving along here, I've cut everything back. I've kind of cleaned everything out. I cut back the peonies. I have to go in and I have to put ice on the peonies. Actually, you know what, you guys? I'm just thinking about it. We've been so, so cold. Maybe I don't have to put ice on the peonies. I'll have to look up how much cold peonies actually need. Okay, so back up. Here in zone 9B, we have trouble growing peonies because we usually don't get cold enough over the winter, and peonies need some chill time to be able to bloom really well the next year. So normally it's kind of like we don't get enough chill time for the peonies to really thrive. And so my plan was to pour some ice cubes. Yep, that was my plan, was to pour ice on the peonies once a week throughout the winter just to stimulate the chill time. And that's kind of something, people actually do that, surprisingly, who really, really want peonies, and I really, really want peonies. So that was my plan to do it, but we have been so cold this year, I'm wondering if I even need to do that. All right, here is my oak tree garden bed. It is looking gorgeous. It is looking so beautiful, and it's looking beautiful because there's different shades of green everywhere. I have this evergreen, I still can't remember the name, but it's a beautiful blue color. My buddleia is taking on this like silvery green color. It's just so beautiful. And then I have my southern sword ferns that the new growth is kind of chartreusey. And then I have my heuchera. I'll put the name of the heuchera right here, but that's a bright green color. It's just so beautiful, you guys. It's so, so beautiful. And this just makes me want to add more variations of green to this garden bed because I was focusing on purples here. I was focusing on doing a whole bunch of different colors of purple. You can see the sea lavender or status, gorgeous purple. But seeing all the different colors of green, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. You can see right here, this is the Salvia leucantha. This is the normal color that you'll normally see. It's a beautiful purple, but I just have the white one in my front yard. So yeah, oak tree garden bed is looking gorgeous. Oh, and then you can see my birch trees are losing all their leaves. I actually have two birches. I have one on the outside of my fence and then one on the inside of my fence. The one on the outside of my fence is doing fantastic. It's totally thriving. It looks healthy. The tips look healthy. The one on the inside, though, is not. First of all, about, I think it was like 2 years ago. Can you guys see that branch? I don't even want to call it a branch. It was like a leader. It broke off and it fell on our roof, and that was really scary. It didn't damage the roof at all, but it was really, really scary. It wasn't even a windy day. It just randomly broke off. We did have a tree guy come and he said it was fine. I don't know. It's just kind of looking worse and worse and worse. And it's probably just not the right spot for it because it's so close to the foundation and we have rocks over there. It's just not a good spot for a birch tree that needs way, way more water. So Jason and I are thinking about getting this one removed. And then obviously we'll keep this one. And then maybe I might even plant a couple more of the birch trees because I really do love the birch trees. But yes, it's lost almost all its leaves and all the leaves are down here. And one thing I do want to say about leaves, because anytime I show leaves in my garden and talk about cleaning them up, everybody says, oh, leave the leaves. They're so good for the soil. And they are good for the soil. Some of them are good for the soil. However, I was talking to Daniel, the agronomist next door, and talking about leaving leaves in the garden. And here where we live, we're just too dry to leave all the leaves in the garden. They just won't break down and they'll keep piling on top of each other. Like if I was just to leave all the leaves in my garden and then, didn't till the soil in or, clean them up or break them down or anything like that, or add tons of water to it to get them to start breaking down, they would just form a matting, and then the matting would keep growing as more leaves went on, and then the soil wouldn't be able to breathe. And so I had already kind of noticed that when I was gardening, and I knew that I couldn't leave a big layer of leaves on my soil. And then Daniel confirmed it and said, we're just too dry here to be able to do that. So I think in most places, it's really good to leave leaves in your garden beds because I think that it really does help the soil. And I think some of it is good, but here where we are, and especially because we're in a drought, I just can't leave all the leaves. I do have to clean a lot of them up. So I just wanted to say that for you guys. Super helpful when you guys leave the comments about leaving the leaves. However, just where I live, you just can't leave them all the time. All right, so that is going to be it for my November front garden tour. I hope you all enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. My plan now is to go inside, get another cup of coffee, and then come out here and tackle this. So stay tuned for that video. It'll probably be up next week. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.